the purpose of this, and I'm just going to go to the next slide, is to provide the viewer a kind of a gettable overview and a taste of defect-free performance, which is JMJ's transformational approach to quality. So the purpose of these 11 slides is to get a gettable overview and then a taste of this defect-free performance, which is our approach to quality. I'm just going to start with a couple of stats, if you will. You know, the issue, if you look at the construction industry, according to Navigant Construction Forum and the Construction Industry Institute, you take any construction project in the USA, and 7 to 19% of the overall contract cost is due to the lack of quality. 7 to 19%. That's a huge amount of money. Time overruns are typically 10% of all work hours in construction-related organizations, and many of those are due to the lack of quality and rework. And then lastly, CFO on a Fortune 10 company has made the following statement. In his company, the lack of quality costs us about $10 billion a year. Metrics that are financial in nature, but the lack of quality has huge implications financially. If we're running a business, best to pay attention to that, yes? Here's what I say is the origin story, and it's JMJ's involvement in quality. And as you know, we've been in business for 33 years, and for the last 25, our kind of niche in the market was incident injury-free safety. We've been doing it since 1995. And in a particular company that took on this approach with regard to quality, they took it on because it started with safety, and they had a 69% reduction. And the last bullet there, that second bullet, because it's a cultural leadership engagement effort, this gentleman said the following: my litmus test for culture change is the following: will it outlast the most senior manager? We change senior managers around here a lot. In my 35-year career, incident injury-free has come as close to anything I've seen. We're on our third executive VP, and the culture has stuck. And that 69% reduction is a result of that. We're doing this work in safety, and the quality director, this division of this Fortune 10 company, has 15,000 people in 17 discrete business units, says the following: let's put these leadership transformational skills and practices to work in quality. So out of that, and out of the next client that we had, a person that had seen this culture work and was newly appointed to be the VP for quality for a 35,000 person organization, said, we're doing lots of things, but all of them, for the most part, are technical in nature. And I also need something that touches people and hearts and minds. And so I want you to take this safety process and I want you to bring it to quality. So just look at some results. This is a 15,000 person organization, 17 individual business units between 2015 and 2018. Escapes decreased by 40%. Defects went down by 60%, and they returned to the parent organization $5 billion through the long-range business plan. They, and we were there for the first year of this, they said this is a major success. Here's the challenge that we found, and I've been around the quality conversation since the 80s and TQM. You got to address this first thing: why should employees care? And if you can't get that across the line, you won't get the hearts and minds and souls and the discretionary effort of the workforce, because it will be the quality department's job to have no defects, or someone else's job. There is a piece of work to make the problem inescapable, and to make it personal, and to make it a mindset, and to create it as a value. And that is our work. And lastly, a very interesting thing happens in manufacturing. Almost all quality problems end up showing up on the factory floor, and 80% of those issues had upstream causation. So oftentimes it will seem like quality is a factory problem, and it's really a value chain problem. If you don't get the supply chain involved and doing the right thing, if you don't have contracting in place, if you don't have the onboarding and the right culture, you've got an issue. So these are all challenges, and this is what we do. We're experts at shaping culture. And my favorite quote is a Peter Drucker quote that says, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." You get what that's about. I can have the best laid plans, but if the culture is not aligned with it, it won't happen. And then one of my quotes that I use a lot is, when you ask a fish about water, the fish says, "What's water?" So trying to tackle a cultural issue from inside the organization, sometimes it's very, very difficult. And lastly, there are a number of organizational change efforts, experts that say the following: in organizational change, do not go to work on values because they're too hard to change. And we, for 33 years, have taken an opposite point of view. We do work on people's values. And when you can create enough meaning, enough purpose, and enough possibility, people will stand inside of defect-free performance and work from that perspective. JMJ does three things. Our work is to change mindset, change behaviors, and change structures. You know, someone once said, if you want something different, someone's going to have to do something different. Well, how do you get people to do something different? Better change the mindset and better change the structures. We pay attention to all three of those, and we do that by transforming how people relate to this subject matter of quality, by coaching and developing leaders in this, and by training them in specific leadership tools, competencies, and skills. You've seen this phrase, 80% of all organizational change efforts fail. Well, if you don't get the mindset right, organizationally and individually, and the structures right, you cannot sustain it. And cultural change actually happens when you can see it sustained over multiple senior authorities, like VP GMs, like that earlier quote we wrote. Here's our approach. I'm just going to give you a high-level overview. Phase one is gain the support of key stakeholders. It's an organizational cultural transformation. If you don't have senior leaders with the appropriate authority on board, sponsoring and leading this effort, it will fail. You cannot contract out cultural change. You can get assistance with it, but you cannot contract it out like you can contract out upgrading your computer system. So key thing, someone once said to me, it's all in the setup. 85% of all results come from 15%, the first 15% of any process. This is the first 15%. Phase two, reveal the gaps. And we do this by training employees to go talk to people and look at what the gaps are, and then formulate a problem statement that we go to work on. One organization said the following: their problem statement, for which this effort was in service of, was, "We've institutionalized the making of defects." Another organization said, "The perception is when push comes to shove, it's all about schedule, and it's driven by short-term profit, and we put Band-Aids on things to meet schedule and meet short-term profit, and it costs us in the long term with the quality." Phase number three, we've been doing this for 33 years, light the fire. And by that I mean, generate an authentic commitment from a majority of the workforce to take on this new possibility of defect-free performance. It's not a guarantee, it's not an outcome, it is a commitment that I will work inside of that context, and it causes all kinds of actions. This one really is about lighting the fire, generating a commitment, the spark to take this on. It really is the heart and soul of JMJ's work. Phase four is identifying the pathways to success. We have an idea of what the gaps are. what key areas are, where leverage is. Number 5 is to expand capability, particularly leadership capability at the first, second, and third line levels. And then lastly, to keep the fire burning, ensure that the structures are in place to keep this going. And that is just a short overview of what the engagement looks like over a 1-year period of time or so. This is the last engagement we worked on. 2 frontline leaders said the following: quality has been night and day since defect-free performance. I can speak up to management and tell them that we're not going to pulse or move the product if I have a good enough story. It stands, from a quality point of view. When I said this in the past, I would either get my head bitten off or I'd be transferred to Siberia. Exact quote. And then the second one from a different frontline leader: the conversation is beginning to change. Upper management's more focused on quality. There's a heightened awareness regarding quality. Before, we would move the part just to meet schedule. Now there's pushback when the quality is not right. And the purpose of this video talk was to give you a kind of a taste and an overview of what JMJ's transformational approach to quality, we call it defect-free performance, is. Mm-hmm. And that concludes my speaking.